Hello. It started with small changes in her behavior. Amanda began working later at her marketing firm, claiming they had landed several major clients and needed all hands on deck. She'd come home smelling of perfume I didn't recognize, saying she'd been sampling new scents at the mall. Her phone was suddenly always face down, and she'd take it with her everywhere, even to the bathroom. But what really set off alarm bells was when she started going to the gym at odd hours, sometimes as late as 10 p.m. I'm not proud of what I did next, but something in my gut told me I needed to know the truth. One night, while she was supposedly at a client dinner, I used her laptop to check our shared cloud storage. She'd forgotten to disable the automatic photo upload from her phone. What I found made my blood run cold. There were dozens of photos of Amanda with a man I'd never seen before. They were clearly more than just colleagues, the way they looked at each other, how close they sat together, his hand on her thigh under the table. Some photos were taken in hotel rooms. Others were selfies of them kissing. The most recent ones were dated just 2 days ago. But the real knife in my heart? A series of screenshots of their text conversations. She'd been planning to leave me for this guy, Nathan, apparently some hotshot executive at a competing firm. They'd been carrying on this affair for months, laughing about how oblivious I was, making plans for their future together. Amanda had even started looking at apartments behind my back. I sat there in our home office, staring at the evidence of my wife's betrayal, feeling like I couldn't breathe. 8 years of marriage, the house we'd bought together, all our plans for starting a family. It meant nothing to her. She'd thrown it all away for some guy she'd met at a business conference. I couldn't just sit there and let this destroy me. I needed to act, and fast. Amanda had taken everything I thought I knew about our life together and turned it into a lie. Now it was my turn to show her exactly what happens when you play with fire. As I heard her car pull into the driveway, I began implementing the first phase of my plan. The photos were already backed up to my secure cloud storage, and I'd gathered every bit of evidence I could find. Amanda was about to learn that her perfectly orchestrated double life was about to come crashing down around her, and I was going to make sure she never forgot the lesson. I heard Amanda's heels clicking on the hardwood floor as she entered the house. The familiar sound of her dropping her keys in the ceramic bowl by the door made my stomach turn. How many times had she come home like this after being with him? "Mike? Are you home?" Her voice carried upstairs, sweet as honey, dripping with deception. I sat quietly in the darkness of our home office, my finger hovering over my phone's screen. "Up here?" I called back, my voice steady despite the rage burning in my chest. I heard her climbing the stairs, probably thinking she was coming home to her oblivious husband. The same husband she'd mocked in texts to Nathan, calling me predictable and boring. She appeared in the doorway, wearing a tight black dress I'd never seen before. Her lipstick was slightly smudged. "Why are you sitting in the dark, babe?" She reached for the light switch. "Don't," I said. "I think the darkness suits this conversation better." I pressed send on my phone, and immediately her phone buzzed in her purse. "You might want to check that." Amanda pulled out her phone, her face illuminated by the screen's glow. I watched as her expression changed from confusion to horror as she opened the message. Every single photo of her and Nathan that I'd found, along with screenshots of their conversations. "Mike, I can explain she started. But I cut her off. "Can you explain why you're planning to move in with Nathan next month? Or maybe you'd like to explain the text where you told him how funny it was that I believed your late-night client meeting story." My voice was ice cold. "Or better yet, explain how you've been using our joint account to pay for hotel rooms to fuck him." The color drained from her face. "How did you?" "Oh, I'm not done," I continued. "While you were out tonight, I took the liberty of sending everything to Nathan's wife, Madison. Yes, I found her. Wasn't hard, considering Nathan's company website has a lovely photo of them from last year's holiday party. She's reading through it all right now." Amanda's phone started ringing, Nathan's name flashing on the screen. She declined the call with trembling fingers, but it immediately rang again. "Seems like your lover boy is having an interesting evening too," I said, standing up. "I also sent copies to your parents, your sister Rachel, and our entire friend group." "Oh, and your boss Diane?" She might be particularly interested in those photos taken in the office after hours. You can't do this. Amanda's voice cracked with panic. You'll ruin everything. No, Amanda. You ruined everything when you decided to throw away our marriage. I walked past her to our bedroom and pulled out a packed suitcase. I've already spoken to my lawyer. The divorce papers will be ready tomorrow. Don't worry about the house. I'm leaving it to you. I wouldn't want to stay in a place filled with memories of your betrayal anyway. Mike, please. She grabbed my arm as I headed for the stairs. We can work this out. I'll end it with Nathan. I'll do anything. I shook off her grip. The time for that was before you started planning your new life with him. I've already transferred my half of our savings to a separate account. Your lover can help you pay the mortgage. As if on cue, both our phones exploded with notifications, messages from friends and family reacting to the evidence I'd sent. Amanda's sister was particularly vocal, calling her every name in the book. Madison, Nathan's wife, had apparently shared the revelations with their social circle too. I shouldered my bag and headed for the front door, leaving Amanda standing at the top of the stairs, her perfectly crafted world crumbling around her. Her mascara was running down her cheeks, but I felt nothing. The woman I'd loved was already dead to me. This crying stranger was just someone wearing her face. The next 48 hours were a whirlwind of chaos that I watched unfold from the quiet of my hotel room. Amanda's carefully constructed house of lies collapsed spectacularly, taking down everything she'd built with Nathan in the process. Madison, Nathan's wife, turned out to be a force of nature. Within hours of receiving my evidence, she'd not only locked Nathan out of their house but had also contacted their company's HR department with proof of his and Amanda's inappropriate use of company resources for their affair. The photos of them in the office after hours proved particularly damaging. My phone buzzed constantly with messages from our social circle. Amanda's best friend Olivia called me in tears, revealing that she'd suspected something was wrong, but Amanda had gaslighted her into believing she was being paranoid. She made me feel crazy for even suggesting she might be cheating. Olivia sobbed. I've known you both for 10 years, Mike. I can't believe she did this. The most satisfying development came from Amanda's workplace. Diane, her boss, was livid about the potential scandal. The competing firm where Nathan worked was their biggest rival, and the idea that Amanda had been sharing insider information during their affair sent shockwaves through the company. By Monday morning, Amanda was placed on administrative leave pending an investigation. I wasn't surprised when Nathan threw Amanda under the bus to save himself. My lawyer forwarded me an email where Nathan's attorney claimed Amanda had pursued and manipulated him, attempting to paint himself as the victim of a predatory employee. Amanda's dreams of their perfect life together shattered as Nathan desperately tried to salvage his marriage and career. The betrayal cut deeper when I discovered more details about their relationship. Through mutual friends, I learned they'd been meeting at our favorite restaurants, places filled with memories of our dating years. Amanda had even taken him to the small bed and breakfast where we'd spent our honeymoon, defiling every precious memory we'd created there. Then came the desperate attempts at damage control. Amanda's sister Rachel forwarded me increasingly frantic emails where Amanda tried to spin the story, claiming I was controlling and that she'd felt trapped in our marriage. Rachel's response was brutal. The only thing trapping you was your own selfishness. You threw away a good man for a cheap affair. Don't expect any sympathy from this family. The unraveling continued when Madison shared screenshots from her conversations with Nathan. Apparently, Amanda had been pushing for him to leave his wife for months, even suggesting they buy a house in the same neighborhood where Madison's children attended school. The calculated cruelty of it all was staggering. I maintained my silence through it all, letting the consequences of their actions speak for themselves. My lawyer advised me that Amanda's misconduct and the public nature of the scandal put me in an extremely favorable position for the divorce proceedings. The same manipulative nature that had allowed her to maintain her double life was now working against her as former friends and colleagues distanced themselves, not wanting to be associated with such a toxic person. One evening, as I sat in my hotel room reviewing the divorce papers, I received an unexpected message from Madison. She'd found evidence that this wasn't Nathan's first affair, but it would definitely be his last. She'd hired a ruthless divorce attorney and was going after everything. "Thank you for having the courage to expose them," she wrote. "You saved me from wasting more years on a lie." A week after the exposure, I was forced to face Amanda again at our lawyer's office. The woman who walked in barely resembled my wife of 8 years. Her designer clothes had been replaced by a plain black pantsuit, her usual confident stride reduced to uncertain steps. The perfectly maintained facade she'd hidden behind for months had crumbled completely. The meeting was meant to discuss asset division, but Amanda had other plans. She broke down the moment she saw me, mascara streaming down her face as she begged for another chance. "I've lost everything, Mike," she sobbed. "My job is gone, Nathan's gone, my friends won't talk to me. You're all I have left." I felt a twisted satisfaction watching her desperation. The job loss had hit particularly hard. Not only had she been fired for ethical violations, but her affair with a competitor's executive had made her radioactive in the industry. No marketing firm in the city would touch her now. The dream career she'd built through manipulation and networking had imploded spectacularly. "Actually," I said, keeping my voice steady, "you don't have me either. You lost me the moment you started planning your future with Nathan." I slid a folder across the table. "Here's everything I found in our house that belongs to you. Your journals, photos, keepsakes. I don't want any reminders of our life together." Amanda's hands trembled as she opened the folder. "You kept my grandmother's locket," she whispered, touching the silver necklace I'd included. "I thought you'd thrown everything away." "Unlike you, I respect what things mean to people," I replied coldly. "That locket was a family heirloom. I'm not the one who destroys precious things for selfish pleasure." The dig hit home. Amanda had taken Nathan to places that held special meaning for us, corrupting every memory we'd shared. She'd even worn that locket during some of their encounters. I'd seen it in the photos. The same locket her grandmother had given her on our wedding day. My lawyer interrupted her attempt at another emotional plea, directing us back to the divorce proceedings. The terms were non-negotiable. Amanda would get the house but would be solely responsible for the mortgage. All joint accounts would be split, but any money spent on her affair would be deducted from her share. The evidence of her misconduct meant she had no grounds to contest anything. As we wrapped up the meeting, Amanda made one last desperate attempt. "I never meant to hurt you," she whispered. "Nathan and it wasn't real. It was just excitement, something different. What we had was real." I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw something I hadn't noticed before. Behind the tears and smeared makeup was not remorse for hurting me, but rather despair at facing the consequences of her actions. She wasn't sorry for the betrayal. She was sorry she got caught. "You know what's interesting, Amanda?" I said, gathering my things. "You kept detailed notes about your affair in your phone. Every meeting, every lie you told me, all carefully documented. I found your little schedule showing how you managed your time between me and Nathan. You planned everything meticulously except for the fallout. You never planned for what would happen when the truth came out." The color drained from her face as she realized I'd seen even more than she'd thought. Her precious planning document, complete with alibis and excuses, had been her undoing. Every calculated decision, every manipulated scenario, laid bare in her own words. "The real irony," I continued, standing to leave, "is that you were so busy managing your perfect double life that you forgot the simplest truth. Lies multiply. Each deception breeds another, until they're too numerous to control. You didn't just betray me, Amanda. You betrayed yourself." The final blow to Amanda's carefully constructed world came from an unexpected source. Her younger sister Rachel, who had always been her closest confidant, chose to reveal the deeper pattern of deception she'd witnessed over the years. Rachel sent me a lengthy email detailing how Amanda had manipulated countless situations throughout our marriage, including orchestrating chance meetings with Nathan months before their affair began. "She's always been like this, Michael," Rachel wrote. "Even in high school, she would maintain multiple relationships, playing people against each other. I kept quiet because she's my sister, but watching her destroy your life the way she has, I can't stay silent anymore." You deserve to know the truth about who you were really married to. The revelations hit harder than I expected. Every memory of our relationship was now tainted with doubt. Had any of it been real? The romantic gestures, the heartfelt conversations, the plans we'd made together, how much had been genuine, and how much had been calculated manipulation? I received another email from Madison, Nathan's wife, sharing the results of her own investigation. She discovered a pattern of similar behavior in Nathan's past, including 2 previous affairs with coworkers. Amanda had known about this. There were messages where they'd actually bonded over their shared history of infidelity. They'd seen themselves as kindred spirits, too sophisticated and complex to be bound by conventional morality. The divorce proceedings moved quickly, thanks to the overwhelming evidence. Amanda's attempts to paint herself as the victim fell apart when her own documented history of manipulation came to light. Her carefully crafted image as a successful, ethical professional woman crumbled as more people came forward with stories of her duplicity. I learned that she'd lost the house, unable to maintain the mortgage payments on her own, especially after being blacklisted in her industry. The last I heard, she'd moved back in with her parents, her reputation in tatters, her social circle destroyed. Nathan had managed to salvage his marriage through intensive counseling, leaving Amanda as nothing more than a cautionary tale in his life. One evening, as I was settling into my new apartment across town, I received a final message from Amanda. It wasn't an apology. She was still incapable of genuine remorse. Instead, it was a bitter accusation. You didn't have to destroy my entire life just because I fell in love with someone else. I didn't respond. She still didn't get it. I hadn't destroyed her life. I'd simply exposed the truth she'd worked so hard to hide. Every relationship she'd damaged, every friendship she'd lost, every professional opportunity that vanished. These were all direct consequences of her own choices and actions. The karma of it all was almost poetic. The same manipulative skills she'd used to maintain her double life had made her downfall more spectacular. Her careful documentation of her deceptions became the evidence that destroyed her. The network of lies she'd woven became the net that trapped her. The sophisticated facade she'd maintained crumbled to reveal the truth. She was nothing more than a selfish person who had gambled everything on the belief that she would never be caught. In the end, I didn't need to plan an elaborate revenge. Simply exposing the truth had been enough. Amanda's own actions had built the framework of her destruction. I just had to pull out the key piece and watch it all collapse. The woman who thought she was too clever to be caught, too special to face consequences, lost everything because she never understood a basic truth. The bigger the lie, the harder the fall. The last thing I heard about Amanda came from Rachel. Apparently, Amanda had tried to reach out to Nathan one final time, only to be served with a restraining order. Madison had made sure that their entire social and professional circle knew the full story. Amanda's reputation was so thoroughly destroyed that she had to leave the city entirely, moving to another state to try to rebuild her life from scratch. Thank you for listening the story to the end. Write your thoughts about it in the comments and do not forget to subscribe. See you in the next videos. Bye.